Welcome back to Season 3 of my Cheap Dodgers series, where we are attempting to keep our payroll under $100 million while keeping Shohei Ohtani and win the World Series. 2 seasons in, we've made the playoffs each time, and we've been one of the better teams in the league, but we have not yet been able to reach the World Series. And for this offseason, there are a lot of decisions to make. Many of our key pieces are up for arbitration and will probably be too expensive for me to bring back. We do still have quite a few guys on renewable contracts, the most notable of which is 93 overall, Roki Sasaki. And there is a decent chance that we are going to see some of our prospects this year. Soto, Rushing, Smith, these are all guys that have a good chance to play. So without further ado, let's get into Season 3 and start making some moves. Both of our exclusive free agents are asking for too much money. Vesio wants $6.4 million for a year, and Ryan Borucki wants $4.9 million. We're going to need a lefty reliever, for sure. It's just not going to be either one of these guys. Okay, so I re-signed everybody on renewable contracts that I want to bring back, and that brings us up to about $79 million. And you can see here, our arbitrations and renewable estimates are $54 million. So that math does not add up. So if I scroll down here, you'll see a bunch of guys. If I get towards the bottom, you will see a bunch of guys who are up for ARB. We're going to have to move away from a lot of them. And I'm sure that one of them is going to have to, unfortunately, be Schwellenbach. I know he's going to ask for too much. The good news is we can get a good return for him. Most of the rest of these guys are replaceable. I'm a little bummed about Frelick and Edwards. And I swear something is weird with the contracts in this game where it'll show another year of renewable. Like, I know for a fact when I traded for Evan Carter last season, and you can go back and look, it showed that he had 27 as renewable. Okay, out of my curiosity, I looked up the situation here. And from what I understand, let me pull up Evan Carter here. He has just over 2 years of service time. I thought that the threshold was 3 years. Once you hit 3 years of service time, you're eligible for arbitration. And that is what his contract indication was showing here. And then after that, typically you have 3 years of arbitration, which would be 28, 29, and 30. But if you look, 27 shows arbitration. And I believe that is due to a rule called the Super 2. So according to the MLB website, to qualify for the Super 2, players must rank in the top 22% in terms of service time among those who have amassed between 2 and 3 years in the majors. So somehow, when you get over 2 years, I think it's meant to be for like players who are good, and Carter's been pretty solid. I think you're able to be eligible for arbitration sooner. So same situation for guys like Edwards, and let's see, Schwellenbach. When I traded for him, he had 3 years of renewable, and that was part of the allure besides his stats for getting him. So it's going to make my job a little bit harder here in the offseason. First kind of big move I want to make is trading Kobe Mayo. I don't really need him next year with Fry and Smith, and we also have Keith and Kim, and then Elijah Marsh, one of our good prospects coming up in the infield. I just don't really have much of a place for him, and he's going to get expensive next year when he goes into arbitration. He had a bad year last year. And one of the things I need to do is prepare in case we go to another season to have 5 starters that are going to be decent. So I need to bring in a guy that's close to MLB ready with stats I like, and that is going to be Chris Brown. The next big problem I need to solve is the outfield. And this may take me a few minutes to walk through everything, but we are going to solve this with Spencer Schwellenbach. So this will be our big trade. If I could keep anybody on this team that I won't be able to afford, it would almost certainly be Spencer Schwellenbach. We're just not going to be able to do that. So I need to shore up our outfield. And the reason is the core that we had last year of Pages, Frelick, Outman, and Carter are all up for arbitration at the same time. I can't afford all of these guys. I can probably afford one of them, and it won't be Carter. I can tell you that right now. I think it's probably going to be Outman. So I need to bring in Drew Gilbert from the Mets, and he's got 3 years on the renewable contract. Well, I guess we'll see with how the contracts work, but he can at least play right now, and he's only going to get better with that B potential. So that helps me in the outfield. He was pretty solid last year in 53 games. He had 0.8 WAR, so he's a positive player. So Gilbert can start for us, and then I also want a guy who's close to starting as well to fill in and add to the farm system. And there's a good prospect here in Frank Courtney. I like his stats. He's got a little more power, and we do sacrifice a bit on the vision and discipline, which I usually like. But I want to get that slightly different build in there, add some more power to the team. So I think this is the best trade I could find for Schwellenbach. It solves our biggest issue right now, which is the outfield, and that is what we're going to do. Another guy we're unfortunately not going to be able to keep is Xavier Edwards. I love this dude, but he wants $5.5 million next year, and they've got this closer, Jason Cameron. Feels like a pretty good deal just to keep adding arms to the bullpen. I'm realizing in this rebuild that the bullpen can get very expensive, so it's good to have a rotation of young guys there. So this is the move I'm going to make for Edwards. And the plan at shortstop is going to be to run it back with Brian Rocchio. You can see at the top there, I offered him 1 year at $3.2 million. I can go up a little bit from that, and if worse comes to worse, I'd be willing to offer him some kind of arbitration deal. The other two guys that I want to bring back who are arbitration eligible are Joey Estes, who I mentioned before, and Pedro Pajes. I really want to get him, and he's only asking for $2.5 million, which is an absolute steal. He's about as good of a catcher as we could possibly get with our budget. Add one more guy to the list. I'm going to try to bring back Carter. Out of all the outfield guys, he actually wanted the least, and he's probably one that I wanted the most. I like his speed. I like his contact to power versus righties. Hopefully we can keep him. As it usually goes, we're going to need a left-handed bullpen arm. I have traded for at least one. I think I've got a couple other in the farm system, but I'm looking at two guys in free agency. My number one choice would be A.J. Minter, and my backup would be Ryan Yarbrough. My only concern with him is he's 35, and even though he developed well last year, I'm worried that we might sign him and he'll begin regressing. The plan this year is going to be to have Dalton Rushing come up and be our backup catcher, so I don't need Sam Huff anymore, and I'm going to trade him to the Reds for a C potential reliever whose stats I really like, Teddy Phillips. I've been spending way too long trying to find a trade for Sal Frelick. I think I finally settled on something that I'm all right with. I'm going to go for left fielder Guevara from the Marlins, and I'm also packaging in first baseman Luken Baker. Same deal here with Outman. I've spent forever trying to find a trade for him, and I'm not going to be able to keep him. And I've just settled on third baseman Spencer Dawson. Kind of a power build, bad defense, not typically what I love, but let's just shake it up, and we could use a little more depth at third base here. So, all right. So I've intentionally been getting all the trades out of the way early on purpose just because I need to get some more clarity on my budget. And you can see here we've got $22 million for ARB and renewable estimates, and we're currently at $80 million in salaries. So I'm about where I need to be. All that's really left for me to do is figure out my free agents here, which I've already got on the board. And then I have, as I mentioned before, offered some of these guys arbitration. And I just need to see where the budget lands because I'm not sold on trading Pajes and Estrada. All right, I lowballed Minter, and he did not accept. CPU just offered me Tarek Skubal, 7 years, $40 million. I don't think I can afford that, but unfortunately, it looks like the D-backs may be going after him. That would be tough for our division rival to have him. Well, we dodged that bullet. Skubal's headed to the Rangers. All right, second try with Minter. We got him for the same amount I offered before, 1 year, $2 million and change. All right, so I've made all the moves I want to make, but there's one issue. We are $3 million over our threshold. I ended up offering arbitration to more guys than I anticipated, so I'm going to have to find a weak link here and make a trade. And the odd man out is going to be reliever Jeremiah Estrada. I had to pay him $3 million this year. That gets us down to our budget, and I'm going to trade him for a reliever prospect. All right, after trading away Estrada, our team is complete for this year. Our budget is right at $100 million on the dot. You can see all the contracts down here below. As far as our pitching rotation, it's going to be Ohtani, Sasaki, Estes, Knack, and Hancock. I feel good about the rotation. The only concern that I have is this is Roki Sasaki's last year. So if we don't win the World Series and this series continues, we will have to trade him. The good news is he's going to be extremely valuable, so we'll be able to get a great player right back or multiple great players. That's the positive, but I'm looking too far ahead. I think most of my concerns this year are in the bullpen. There's not a whole lot of absolute studs in here besides Emmanuel Clase. All these guys will play above their rating, but yeah, we're probably not going to be as dominant in the bullpen this year. Here is our lineup. It should look very familiar to last year. I think the only new name in here is Drew Gilbert coming in to play center field. We're going to have him for a while, and he's got a lot of room for growth, so he'll be playing center. I feel decent. CPU's got us ranked 19th. That's how it always goes in these kind of rebuilds. We're definitely going to be better than that, I could promise you. I don't think we're going to be quite as good as the first and second season, so hopefully I still think we'll make the playoffs. Let's see what we can do, and without further ado, let's get into opening day. Opening day, we are taking on Mackenzie Gore and the Cardinals, which is good for us because he is a lefty, and our lineup still favors lefties to this day. The offense heats up here in the second. Kim with a solo shot and a couple of hits after that. Ohtani just had a big blow-up in the second here, giving up 5 runs. We do get one back, but Ohtani has a lot more to answer for. Here's the full count pitch. And he lines that into left field for a base hit. Throw to the plate's not in time. It's 5-3. Ohtani was only able to get through 3 innings, and now Johnny Brito has an infinite ERA after giving up a solo shot to the first batter he sees this year. Gore is also tiring out pretty early in this game. Here's a pitch to Ohtani, and that's going to be a ground ball over to second. They'll get Ohtani there. David Fry with a line drive into center field. That'll score a run. Now we've got 2 on for Hyesung Kim, and he gets drilled in the back. Bases loaded for Rocchio, but he strikes out. Still down 2 here in the top of the 9th now, and look who's in. It's Matt Strahm. 3-2 to Keith, and he strikes out. Here's Ramos, who already has a couple of hits today, but he's going to pop that one up into the infield. Down to our final strike, and Ohtani hits that hard, but he's going to fly out into right, and the Cardinals defeat us on opening day 2027. Okay, really concerning start to the year. We are currently 0-8. Obviously, it's way too early to say, but in the event that we take a step back this year, the good news is we're going to have a ton of our prospects ready for next year. One of our homegrown talents, Elijah Marsh, will be ready. A pitcher we traded for, Alberto Soto, will definitely be ready. Outfielder Frank Courtney will be ready, as will center fielder Keon Sizemore. The only issue with Sizemore is look at his durability. 34. I don't know how he's going to not get hurt. And it's a good thing that we've been working on our farm system and have a lot of good prospects, because this position player class looks terrible. We finally got our first win of the year, and it was against Mackenzie Gore, so we got our get back there, but just an abysmal start to the season. The team desperately needs a spark. Maybe we can find it in Baltimore. 2 runners on here for Gilbert, but he strikes out. Miller gets us through the 9th, so we're headed to extras. And David Fry drills one into deep left, and that is going to be off the wall, and we will take the lead. 2 on for Colt Keith, and he smokes that one deep into right, back to the wall, and that's gone. 3-run homer for Colt Keith. Now in the bottom of the 10th, Clase comes in, and he gives up a few hits, but he's able to get out of it, and thank goodness we are able to pull out a victory against the Orioles. Ohtani's been cold, but offense has really not been the issue for us to start the year. Our problems have all been with the pitching staff. Many guys have over 5 or even 6 or even 7 ERAs. And it looks like that game versus Baltimore turned our season around. We have now won 7 straight, and we're 9-12. During scouting, I found a decent first-round option for us in Chad Covington. Very well-rounded hitter, also has great discipline and a lot of speed. But the best news so far is Lee Tran on the pitching side. 21-year-old, looks like he's going to be a future ace. A few guys in the lineup have really turned it on here. David Fry, Heliot Ramos is having a career year. But the guy that I'm most impressed with is Drew Gilbert, the newbie. He's actually got an 809 OPS to start the season. A few days later, Landon Knack is hurt. He's going to be down 1 to 2 months with a torn finger ligament. So in the meantime, I'm going to have to bring up Bobby Miller to replace him. Miller's not bad, but I don't feel great about him in the starting rotation. Looks like I found another good option for us here. Ryan Dobbins moved up from 71 to 28. We're in extras in New York, and Shohei's at the plate with the bases loaded. Count is now full, and Shohei walks in a run. Bases still loaded for Heliot Ramos. And Ramos flies that one out into right. Is that going to be deep enough to score a run? Throw to the plate, and it's wide. 3-1 Dodgers. So bottom of the 10th, Clase trying to close this one out, and he does. We defeat the Mets 3-1. We're still really struggling, though, towards the end of May, and we're 22-31 at this point. Looking around to see if I could get somebody new on the team, maybe to just shake things up a little bit, turn our season around, but I don't like any of the options on the trading block at all. We keep getting so close to getting to 500, and then we go on like a 3 or 4 game losing streak. It just has not happened yet for us this season. Maybe if we jump in and watch another game here, it'll turn things around. Colt Keith with a walk-off opportunity, and he grounds that down the third baseline. That is going to bring home the winning run, and we will take down the Nats in L.A. I really have no idea what is going on with Roki Sasaki. He's got a 7.5 ERA through 16 starts. I don't know what to do. I don't want to give up on him just because I know he's can be way better than that, but it's like tempted me to trade him now, but his value will be lower. I don't know. One of our prospects, Keon Sizemore, who we drafted in the second round of the first draft of this series, is absolutely balling out in AAA. He's got a 905 OPS right now. And if he keeps that up, he is going to find a spot on this team because Joshua De Paula is who I brought up to play outfield on our bench, and he has been so bad. So I don't want to rush to the decision just yet, but there's a good chance I'm going to switch those guys. Bobby Miller's out of options, and I want to send him down. So instead of having him clear waivers, I'm going to go ahead and trade him to the Cardinals for shortstop Andrew Monasterio. He's having a great year in AAA. He might be able to help us out. Now facing our division rival, the Padres, and there's the bases loaded for Brian Rocchio. And Rocchio gets a fastball right down the middle, flies it out to right. Tatis with a good arm, but the throw is cut off, and we take a 3-2 lead. Would love to add on here with Evan Carter at the plate. He's got the platoon advantage here facing a righty, and he's also having a great year, 827 OPS. Richards delivers. Oh, right down the middle, and Carter cannot catch up to 92. Clase in to close it out, facing Manny Machado. Clase's got him down 1-2, and he's going to ground it up the middle. Rocchio over to play and flips behind the back. What a nice play to end the game. We're still chasing 500, though, currently 42-46. We go on to sweep Houston, and now this game versus Miami could get us to 500, but we lose. Time for the MLB draft, and I mentioned before that this was a pretty rough class. I only have 2 position players at the top of my board. Shortstop Ryan Dobbins, great contact, good speed, decent player. Other option is left fielder Chad Covington, who has a little bit better bat skills, and I also would not mind taking him, although his potential is kind of low for a first-round pick. The highest rated guy on our board is starting pitcher Daniel Cabrera. He went from 32nd up to 2nd. Would not mind taking him at all. Only issue is I don't think we can get him at the 24th pick. And then, as always, we've got some great discovery pitcher options, my favorite of which is Ronald Cervantes, just because of his super high walks per 9. I've got an MLB-ready discovery center fielder available as well. And then for the later rounds, I've got closing pitcher Daryl Reeder as an option, as well as reliever Steve Breeding, who I like for being left-handed and having good hits and walks per 9. Daniel Cabrera got taken in the 18th pick, so we won't be able to get him in the first round. So between Dobbins and Cunningham, I actually think I like Cunningham better. We've had a little bit more struggles getting good outfielders during this rebuild. Even though Covington's potential is lower than Ryan Dobbins, his overall is much higher. And I don't know. I think my gut's just telling me to go with Chad Covington with our first pick. And of course, out of all the discovery pitcher options, my favorite one is taken in the second round. So I will take our next best option, Reggie Capps. With the 99th pick, I'm going to take another discovery pitcher, Richard Siegel. For our 4th pick, I am going to grab this closer, Daryl Reeder. And now in round 5, all of my options are still on the board, and I'm going to go ahead and give this center fielder, Freddie Wexler, a shot. With my last pick, I'm going to take reliever Steve Breeding. I feel like I never draft relievers in this game, but I'm just going to go for it, and that is going to do it for the MLB draft. Down 1 to our nemesis from Season 1, the Phillies. Shohei's worked a full count here, and he draws a walk. I feel like he does that a lot. So that means the bases are loaded for Ramos. Ramos with a fly ball down the left field line. That's going to drop fair. Throw comes home as Shohei also heads home, and he is tagged out, but not before we score 2. Clase now with a 1-run lead comes in and closes the game out. The Dodgers win 3-2. And the very next day, we beat the Phillies again, and finally, we have reached 500 for the season. Monasterio's been very good for us. 5 games with the Dodgers, and he currently has a 1.2 OPS. Minter's been struggling this season, unfortunately, and he is also starting to regress. So I want to dump him off to the Tigers in exchange for Brant Herter. But to sweeten the pot, I need to throw in a good prospect that we have. He is a little bit older, but Aaron Baracho looks still very solid. He's having a good year in Double-A. So I think this is a fair deal, and we're going to bring in Brant Herter. Even though he's got a bunch of stamina, I mean, he could pretty much be a starter. I want to put him into the setup role just because of how good he's been, and I want him to get used. I don't want to bury him somewhere else in the bullpen. We've gone on to win 3 more in a row here, finally getting on a good streak, and with that, we're actually second in our division. And for the first time this year, if the season ended today, we would be in the playoffs. I'm not sure how this is possible, but the Mets had Luis Angel Acuna on the trading block, and they're willing to trade straight up for Hyesung Kim. And Kim is a guy that I've not been sold on this year. He's having a down year offensively, and he's barely breaking even on WAR. while Acuna is going to continue to develop. He's only 24, and we might be able to keep him after this. At the very least, he will have team control. Kim will also have team control, but I'm going to have to trade him because it'll be too expensive in ARB. So I'm going to make this deal. So we have got a new second baseman in Luis Angel Acuna. I'm going to take advantage of the contract extensions to sign one of our relievers for a couple of years. He'll be up for arbitration in 2029, and this is Thomas Ludum. And I want to bet on him. He's going to be a very good lefty, which, of course, you know by now that I value. I can get him for 2 years, 1.8 mil, and I think that's going to work out really well. So there you see the contract there. We will have Ludum into the future. We're really starting to kick it into gear now. We are currently on a 10-0 streak. As you can see, our lineup has finally gotten hot. 4 of the top 5 guys in our order are currently on fire. Even nicer to see that Roki Sasaki also has the little flame symbol there. His ERA is still 5.8, but if he could just right the ship towards the end of this season, get himself right for the playoffs, I'm all good. Emmanuel Clase is having a career year, currently at a 1.36 ERA, 28-3 in save opportunities. Approaching the trade deadline, and James Wood is going to the Braves. That's a big move, and they kind of fleece the Braves too. I mean, this is a good starter prospect, but the other guy is a C potential center fielder, and if you look at James Wood, he's 86 overall, and also he's still under team control for 3 more years. Oof, the Braves definitely win this one. Speaking of the Braves, we just kicked their butt 3 games in a row, and now we are 61-51, 10 games above 500. For September call-ups on the pitching side, I'm going to bring up Alberto Soto. He's up to 75 overall. He will be one of our starters next year, so let's give him some time in the majors. And then the other guy I want to bring up is Keon Sizemore, who's developed very well. He's been our best hitter in AAA. Even though he's only 19 years old, I think this is the best guy I can bring up for now. By the way, his durability has improved by 5 here, but it's still only 39. So we're definitely going to put him on the bench and use him as a pinch hitter because I do not want him to get hurt. So that is the plan, and we'll see if those guys give us a little boost at the end of the season. While I'm messing around with the roster, let me show you a couple guys having great years. Andrew Monasterio is at the top of that list. He's only been here for 12 games after we traded for him, but he has been hitting the cover off the ball. And Colt Keith is having a career year. Look at that contact versus lefties, all the way up to 99. He's got an 835 OPS. Really impressive, and we've still got 3 more years with Keith. Bottom 11 against San Diego, Luis Angel Acuna with a walk-off opportunity. 1-2 pitch, and Acuna with a ground ball through the right side. Tatis with a good arm. Throw to the plate, and it's not in time. Walk-off for Acuna. And after that walk-off, we go on to sweep the Padres. We're well ahead of them in the division. I don't see us catching the D-backs, but after our start to this year, I'm pretty happy with how things are turning out. Speaking of the D-backs, we're down 2, but we have the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th. 2-1 pitch here to Fry. And he gets a hanging breaking ball and slaps that into right field. Throw comes home, but it's not in time, and we tie the game. And now here's Ohtani with a chance to give us a lead. 1-2 pitch, and Ohtani strikes out. Clase immediately gives up a solo shot to Del Castillo. He's burned us a few times in this rebuild. So 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. We have runners on the corners. And Brian Rocchio hits that hard, but he's going to fly it out into left, and the D-backs win. And we're facing division rivals 4 series in a row. We got that sweep for San Diego. We take 2 of 3 versus Arizona, but then the Padres take 2 out of 3 of us, and now we head back in to face Arizona. We win the first game, we win the second game, and we pull off a sweep. All of a sudden, we're only 3 games behind. Our rookie, Keon Sizemore, making a splash here. 7 games, 24 at-bats, and he's got a 1. OPS with a homer in there. Good start to his career. And as far as Alberto Soto, he's pitched 4 innings and did not give up any runs, gave up 4 hits. Good start to his career as well. We end up going on a little losing streak here and now finishing out the season against San Francisco. And we finish 88-74. We will be a wild card team facing the Pirates again. A little bit of deja vu here. Looks like we've got an award here, and Shohei with the Cy Young. How about that? And he also wins the MVP. Best season so far with this rebuild. He had 40 homers, 117 RBIs, and he had 14 wins, 8 losses, 2.99 ERA. I think the strikeouts kind of carried him here for the Cy Young, but we will certainly take it. Shohei, the MVP, was our best hitter this year, but we have a few other guys who are above an 800 OPS. Very solid. Worked out great bringing Evan Carter back for another year. David Fry continues to play well. And then after that, we've got some decent results, but nothing too crazy. Really, the reason why we didn't win quite as many games this year comes on the pitching side, and more specifically, our starters. The bullpen was pretty good, and Shohei was also great, winning the Cy Young. But our next best pitcher was Emerson Hancock, who's 76 overall. Knack was okay, Esses was okay, but Roki Sasaki really struggled, and he's cold heading into the playoffs. So it might seem a little bit crazy, but I'm too nervous to start him in our rotation, and he's going to be in the long relief role for playoffs. Our lineup is all set. Nobody's hot going into the playoffs. Only a couple guys are cold. So let's see if we can make a run here. We've got to start all the way in the wild card. In Game 1, we'll be facing Jared Jones, and Shohei Ohtani will take the mound. Pirates have pretty much the same roster. The only difference is they've got former Dodger of this rebuild, Stone Garrett, on the team, and he had a pretty solid year. But their real strength is on the pitching side, with Paul Skeens as their ace. Jared Jones has an 89 overall number 2. He's very solid. And then you got Keller, Chandler. Yeah, they've got a good rotation. So 2 on for Heliot Ramos, and Ramos really improved his stats versus righties this year. His contact is up to 71. And a little bloop shot. That's going to drop in front of Cruz in center and bring home a run. Keith pops that up out into left. Might be deep enough to bring home a run. Throw to the plate is up the line, and we're up 2-0. Shohei's been solid on the mound, but can he come through at the plate in the bottom of the 5th? Count is run full, and that curveball's right down the middle, and Shohei just stares at it. Would really like to extend our lead here, but another player goes down looking. Both teams into their bullpens now in a close game, and Pages extends the lead with a solo shot. Pirates tie it up in the 8th with a few singles and a walk. Bottom of the 9th now, runner on second, trying to walk this game off. And Carter gets a great pitch to hit, but he grounds it to third. We're into the 11th now in Game 1. And the bases are loaded for the Pirates. 1-2 pitch to Hampson, and that's strike 3. Now Thomas Lunam comes in. He is facing Stone Garrett, who lines one deep to center field. Back to the track, and it's caught at the wall. So now we're in the bottom of the 11th. And Acuna with a swing and a drive. Deep to left. It's gone. No, it's off the wall. Oh, I got fooled there, and it's a double for Acuna. So Pedro Pages will have to drive him home, and he's going to go for third. And he's in there. Full count pitch. And Pages grounds that fair ball down the third base line. Dodgers win it. An extra innings thriller in Game 1. And now we're taking on Paul Skeens in Game 2. Landon Knack takes the hill for the Dodgers. Ohtani facing Skeens in the first, and he strikes him out. The Pirates strike first with a 2-run shot by Joey Bart. Skeens has been absolutely dominant today, only giving up 2 hits so far through 6 innings. But we've got a chance here with Ohtani at the plate, 2 outs, 2 on. Skeens delivers to the 5-time MVP, and Ohtani drives that deep into right, towards the wall, and it's gone! 3-run homer for Shohei. 2 superstars go head-to-head, and Shohei comes out on top this time. That stayed fair by about 5 feet, just grazing the pole. Our bullpen has held it down since that homer, and Clasé's in trying to get the save. Here's a 3-2 pitch, and that is hit hard out into right, to the track, and it's off the wall. So Clase will have to face Joey Bart now, and Bart grounds that to second base. Acuna with the scoop over to first, and the Dodgers defeat the Pirates. So we get our revenge against the Pirates, who bounced us last year, and that was really impressive to be able to take down Paul Skeens. And now we'll be taking on Arizona once again in the division series. Game 1 of the DS will be in Arizona. They've got home field advantage. And the man who was second place to Shohei in the Cy Young, Valdez, will be the starter. Valdez faces Emerson Hancock, and Luis Angel Acuna strikes first with a solo shot. But Corbin Carroll and the D-backs quickly respond.
Ball 4, take the base.
And now Ketel Marte adds on with a 2-run shot. So we trail the Diamondbacks by 2, but Shohei's at the plate with the runner on. 2-2 pitch from Valdez, and Ohtani with a ground ball over to short. 2 runners on for Pages in the 4th. Valdez downhill, and he strikes out Pages' curveball right at the top of the zone. Emerson Hancock gives up another run in the 4th, so Sasaki comes in, and he really struggled this year, and he gives up another run. And now Gurriel Jr. adds on a solo shot. We're down 6-1 in the 5th. Valdez goes 8 innings and makes the way for John Curtis, who closes us out in Game 1. Game 2 sees Zach Gallen facing Joey Estes. And in the 4th inning, the D-backs get a 2-run homer, and they're up 3-0. We've got a chance here in the top of the 6th to cut into this lead. And Luis Angel Acuna grounds that to first. Now in the top of the 7th, we've got 2 runners on. But Evan Carter grounds into a double play. We have just not been able to take advantage of any opportunities in this game. Andrew Rasmussen comes in and closes things out. The Diamondbacks are showing us just how good they are this year. So our backs are against the wall now. At least we head home for Game 3, and Shohei Ohtani will be taking the mound. Maybe a good start from the Cy Young winner can turn this series around for us. Our offense has really gone cold during this series, and the Diamondbacks' offense has been really impressive. But here's Ohtani in the bottom of the 4th with 2 runners on. And Ohtani with a drive into right. That is out of here. 3-run shot for Ohtani, and we take a 3-0 lead. Just a line drive bullet out into right. That got out in a hurry. But then Ohtani takes the mound and gives up 2 runs right away. And now Del Castillo's at the plate with the bases loaded. This guy has been a problem for us in this rebuild. And it's funny because he's only 73 overall, but he does have very good stats. Here's the 2-2. And that's a ground ball up the middle. This guy is unbelievable. And with that, the D-backs take a 4-3 lead. And now we're already headed into the bullpen, and things just keep getting worse. And with a 3 spot in the 8th, we are now down 8-3, and I don't see a way we're going to make a comeback. Simming to the end of this game, and the D-backs sweep us 3-0. They were just by far the better team, and they will be the main obstacle for us in this rebuild. And I sim through the end of the season, and the Angels actually defeat the Braves in the 2027 World Series. And I have to admit, this rebuild has been a little bit tougher than I thought going in. We've consistently put together good rosters, but we just haven't been dominant enough during the postseason to make a run to the World Series. And so with Season 3 down, we're going to be losing a lot of players, and I will have to really reshape this team heading into 2029. And this will definitely be the most difficult offseason I've had to figure out yet. We're losing a lot of pieces. I'm not as bummed about Sasaki just because of how bad he was this year, but so many core members of our team, even going back to the first year, are not going to be able to come back. The good news is I've been preparing for this rebuild to go a little bit longer, so I do have a lot of prospects that will be coming up next year who can help keep us competitive, but it's certainly going to be a challenge. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you for 2028 with a very different Dodgers roster.